All right, so it looks like we're diving deep into this Sherburne National Wildlife Refuge.
Yeah.
And we've got a pretty interesting mix of sources.
We do.
Articles from Minnesota Seasons websites like Explore Minnesota, and even some firsthand accounts from YouTube.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's like getting a multi-dimensional view of this place before we even go there.
It really is, and that's what's going to make this deep dive so fascinating, I think. You know, piecing together the history, the ecology, and then the actual visitor experience, like, it's all right here.
Exactly, yeah. And for anyone who hasn't had the chance to visit yet,
Right.
let's set the stage. So Sherburne National Wildlife Refuge,
Okay.
30,700 acres.
Wow.
A haven for biodiversity nestled in Minnesota, established in 1965. But its story goes way back.
Way back pre-European settlement.
Okay.
We're talking a landscape teeming with elk, bison, timber wolves.
Wow.
The St. Francis River Basin was this incredible artery of life, supporting everything from beavers and mink to countless waterfowl.
I can barely imagine that today. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
that level of abundance.
It's hard to picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you go there now, but it really puts things into perspective, I think.
It does, yeah. It makes you realize, what we've lost and what we've gained, I guess.
Yeah, and it helps us understand, the impact of human activity on the landscape.
Right.
So you think about the shift that happened in the late 1800s when European settlers arrived.
Yeah.
Agriculture became the dominant force on the landscape. Natural fires were suppressed. Drainage ditches altered the natural flow of water.
Like all these isolated actions end up having this cascade effect.
Exactly. It's like a domino effect.
Right.
One change triggering another, and suddenly the landscape is completely transformed.
Yeah.
And by the 1940s,
Yeah.
it was very clear that this ecosystem, which was once so thriving, was really struggling.
Yeah.
And that's when this group of really dedicated local conservationists and sportsmen
Yeah.
recognized the urgency of the situation.
That's mentioned on that City of Baldwin website, right?
Yes, exactly. And they understood that preserving this area wasn't just about protecting nature. It was about safeguarding a heritage, a connection to the past.
It's inspiring to see how their passion and their advocacy led to the creation of the refuge.
It is.
It makes you realize the power of collective action.
Absolutely. Yeah, their dedication paid off. And today we have this incredible 30,000-acre testament to their vision.
So we've got this rich history.
Yes.
But I want to kind of fast forward to the present day.
Okay.
What does Sherburne offer visitors today?
So,
You mentioned a diverse range of recreational activities.
range.
What are some of the highlights that stand out to you from these sources?
Okay, well, first of all, I have to say the sheer variety of options is impressive.
Yeah.
Like hiking, biking, horseback riding, camping.
It's a haven for outdoor enthusiasts.
It is, and then you've got more specialized activities like geocaching and, of course, photography.
Yeah.
Wayne Rasmussen's photos, particularly that one of the sandhill crane in the wetlands truly capture the beauty of this place.
Right. And speaking of sandhill cranes,
Yeah.
Explore Minnesota talks about this incredible spectacle in the fall,
Yes.
when thousands of cranes stage at the refuge. Can you imagine witnessing that firsthand?
It's on my bucket list.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the refuge's critical role as a stopover point for migratory birds.
Absolutely. But I'm curious,
Yeah.
with so much to explore, where would you recommend someone start? What activities really capture the essence of Sherburne?
Well, if you want to experience the heart of Sherburne, I'd say start with the Prairie's Edge Wildlife Drive.
Okay.
It's a 7.3-mile gravel road that just kind of winds through all these different habitats.
Oh, cool.
You get a taste of everything,
Okay.
and it's accessible year-round.
Oh, that's a good point. I was looking at that in Minnesota Seasons, and it looks
Yeah.
like, a large portion of the refuge is actually a wildlife sanctuary
Yeah.
with limited access
Right.
during certain times of the year, especially during breeding season.
You're right.
So it's great that there are these options for people
Yeah.
to connect with nature
Yeah. Year-round access is important.
throughout the year. Yeah.
And don't underestimate the power of a good hike.
Right.
The Blue Hill Trail offers these panoramic views of the surrounding landscape,
Okay.
whereas the Monoman Trail
Yeah.
takes you through a more intimate forest setting.
Yeah. And then for those who are maybe looking for a more adventurous approach,
Right?
you always have the St. Francis River canoe route.
Yes.
I was thinking about that Roam to the North video
Uh-huh.
where he's kayaking through this tributary
All right.
and he finds a jawbone with teeth.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine?
That's a little creepy,
I know.
but really cool.
It adds a layer of mystery and intrigue to the experience.
It does.
Like you never know what you're going to find out there.
It reminds us that even in a landscape that seems familiar, There are always these surprises waiting to be discovered.
Absolutely. And it's those little moments of serendipity that make exploring a wildlife refuge so rewarding.
Absolutely.
But beyond the recreational activities, I'm fascinated by the ecological nuances of this place.
Okay.
What are some of the key insights that stood out to you?
One thing that really struck me was the discussion about invasive earthworms.
Okay.
You know, we often think of earthworms as being beneficial for the soil.
Right, good for the garden.
Exactly. But in this case, they're actually having this detrimental effect on the forest ecosystem.
Earthworms, how is that possible?
So it all comes down to the rate of decomposition.
Okay.
Remember in that Roam Through North video?
Yeah.
He talked about how the earthworms are rapidly breaking down the organic matter on the forest floor.
Right, and I thought that was a good thing.
Right, it seems like a good thing, but it's actually disrupting that natural balance.
So instead of that slow, gradual breakdown
Exactly.
of, leaves and debris,
Right.
that kind of nourishes the soil and creates that habitat for insects and other creatures.
Exactly.
You're getting this accelerated process that just leaves bare soil.
Yeah, and that bare soil is more prone to erosion, it dries out faster,
Wow.
and it doesn't support the same diversity of plant life.
It's crazy how these seemingly insignificant creatures can have such a huge impact.
It is. It's a fascinating example of that.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that we often overlook the interconnectedness of nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything plays a role, even the humble earthworm.
And speaking of interconnectedness,
Yes.
Sherburne has this incredible diversity of habitats.
It does. 22 distinct native plant communities.
22 to be exact.
That's remarkable. No wonder it supports such a wide range of species.
It's like a mosaic of ecosystems, all woven together.
Okay.
You might have a dense oak savanna on one side of the road,
Yeah.
and then suddenly it transitions into this open prairie.
Wow.
It's this constant shift. It's a visual feast.
A visual feast. I love that. That's a great way to put it.
And that diversity of habitats is what makes Sherburne such a critical refuge for so many species.
Okay.
It provides them with that range of food sources, nesting sites.
Everything they need to thrive.
It's like a haven for biodiversity.
It is.
A sanctuary where plants and animals can coexist in this intricate tapestry of life.
Beautifully said.
And if you're lucky, you might even catch a glimpse of one of Sherburne's most iconic residents, the sandhill crane.
Oh, yes, the sandhill.
That Minnesota Seasons article mentions that thousands of sandhill cranes stage at the refuge.
Thousands.
In October. Can you imagine?
It's a sight to behold.
I can only imagine.
And for those who want to witness this incredible migration firsthand,
Yes.
Minnesota Seasons recommends aiming for that third week in October
So,
for peak crane viewing.
duly noted, third week of October it is.
And if you're looking for an even more immersive experience, you've got to check out this Behind the Gates crane viewing tour that Jerry Garcia participated in.
Yeah.
His photos and videos just capture the magic of these birds taking flight against the backdrop of the sunrise.
Oh, that's got to be incredible.
Amazing.
I'm adding that to my must-do list.
Do it.
But before we get too carried away with Wanderlust, let's talk about some practicalities.
Okay.
For anyone planning a trip to Sherburne,
Right.
location-wise, it seems pretty accessible.
It is very accessible.
Minnesota Season says it's about 50 miles northwest of Minneapolis-St. Paul.
Right.
And 30 miles southeast of St. Cloud.
Exactly. So within easy reach of some major cities.
So it's not too far,
Not at all.
if you're in a metropolitan area.
And the Explore Minnesota website has very detailed driving directions from various starting points.
That's helpful.
It is super helpful.
And what about costs? Are there entrance fees?
Nope. Entry is free.
Free.
Which makes it even more appealing, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's fantastic that access to nature is made so accessible.
It is.
But I'm curious, for someone who's never been to a wildlife refuge before, are there any, key things that they should keep in mind?
Sure.
Any guidelines or etiquette tips?
So the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service website has a wealth of information on that. They emphasize the importance of staying on designated trails, respecting wildlife, and packing out everything you pack in.
Right. Leave no trace.
Exactly. Those simple but really crucial steps.
Yeah.
To make sure that we're preserving this delicate ecosystem.
It's a good reminder that we're all responsible for protecting these natural treasures.
We are.
And beyond those basic guidelines,
Yes.
I think it's essential for visitors to be mindful of their impact on the environment.
Absolutely.
Learn about the ongoing conservation efforts at Sherburne, like prescribed burns, invasive species management, Things like that.
All of that. Yeah, it's really important.
Right. It's not just about enjoying the beauty of the refuge, but also understanding the challenges it faces.
Exactly.
And how we can contribute to its well-being.
And supporting these initiatives.
Yeah.
Even through something as simple as donating to the Friends of Sherburne National Wildlife Refuge can make a real difference.
Absolutely.
It's a way to show your appreciation and ensure that future generations can continue to experience the wonder of this place.
I love that perspective. It's about being an active participant in the conservation story.
Exactly.
Not just a passive observer.
Not just taking in the scenery, but becoming part of something bigger than yourself.
And that's what makes exploring these places so rewarding.
I agree.
Wow, it's amazing how much we've uncovered about the Sherburne National Wildlife Refuge. You know?
It is.
From paddling down the St. Francis River and maybe finding a jawbone.
Right.
To stumbling upon grouse and then witnessing that just breathtaking spectacle of thousands of cranes taking flight.
It's incredible.
It really is.
Yeah.
But considering its history, the transformation of the landscape, the impact of human activity, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges facing Sherburne today?
Well, I think it's really intertwined with a lot of the things that we've been talking about.
Okay.
We talked about invasive species.
Right.
Like earthworms and the ripple effects that they cause. That's a big one, a significant ongoing challenge. And then there's this constant, effort to balance human recreation with the needs of the wildlife.
Right, because you want people to enjoy it.
Right.
But you don't want them to,
to love it to death.
Love it to death, exactly.
It's like walking a tightrope, isn't it?
Yeah.
Trying to encourage people to experience and appreciate nature while also making sure that we're not harming it in the process.
And then you have climate change, adding another layer of complexity.
Absolutely.
Shifting weather patterns,
right.
increased temperatures,
yeah.
altered precipitation.
It can impact everything.
Wow.
From plant life to animal migration patterns. Sherburne, like many natural areas, is facing the effects of a changing climate.
So it's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
But it really highlights the importance of places like Sherburne. They serve as these living laboratories that help us understand the intricate workings of the natural world.
Right.
And how to better protect it.
Absolutely. And, they're havens for biodiversity, offering refuge to countless species in a world that's, increasingly fragmented and developed.
Right. So given all of these challenges, what can we as visitors do to help?
Well, as we talked about earlier, following those guidelines set by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is essential. Staying on trails, respecting wildlife, leaving no trace.
Right.
Those are simple but really impactful actions.
Okay.
But I think it goes beyond that.
In what way?
I think it's about fostering a deeper connection to nature, a sense of stewardship.
Okay.
Educate yourself.
Yeah.
About the specific challenges facing Sherburne, get involved in those conservation efforts. Support organizations like the Friends of Sherburne National Wildlife Refuge. Advocate for policies that protect natural areas.
Right.
Every action, no matter how small, contributes to a larger movement.
It's about shifting from being a passive observer to an active participant.
Exactly.
In the conservation story.
And that's what makes exploring places like Sherburne so rewarding. You're not just taking in the scenery. You're becoming part of something bigger than yourself.
That's a powerful way to put it. It's a reminder that our actions have consequences.
They do.
Both positive and negative. And that we each have a role to play in shaping the future of our planet.
Well said. I think that's the perfect note to end on.
I agree. We hope this deep dive into the Sherburne National Wildlife Refuge has not only sparked your curiosity, but also inspired you to get out there, explore, and become a champion for nature.
Absolutely.
Remember, every step we take, every action we choose can make a difference.
We can.
So go forth, discover the wonders of Sherburne, and share your experiences with the world.
Happy exploring.